All right, chat. I know there's a lot of people say, Foots, you're late. Well, you know what? Me and Zach are trying to get the light right, trying to get the setup right for you guys. What's going on? Obviously, Zach, a bunch of news today. The Cowboys have a new head coach. They have Brian Schottenheimer. We kind of both hit that on our last videos. But is there any other thoughts you have before we kind of talk about the Senior Bowl? And because he's not going to the Senior Bowl.
Yeah. They said that he was gonna work on putting his staff together. So that's kind of what I'm paying attention to right now. Just who's the offensive coordinator or the working offensive coordinator.
Yeah.
Matt Eberflus has been discussed as the defensive coordinator. That's going to be the hiring at this point. So that's the main thing.
No, I couldn't agree more. And it's like, and welcome everybody coming in. We came down here for the Senior Bowl. We didn't know if we would have a coach. Me and Zach, y'all, we was talking, and it's like, dog, who's going to be coaching this team? And we were able to get that answer today. So that's cool. So we at least know the direction. Like,
yes,
are we going to run the ball? It's been widely known Schottenheimer likes to run the football. He likes to be a physical team. He said that he said that throughout his time in Dallas, but that's who he wants to be, and that's the world that he wants to live in. I'd also say that when it comes to the hires, they've been looking at Arizona's offensive line coach. I think that'd be a great hire. If you guys remember last year when they played Dallas, Drew Petzing in that scheme gave the Cowboys D-line fits. If he can bring some of that over to coach our line or in whatever capacity he'll be coaching, I think that'll be cool. And then obviously Matt Eberflus. How do you feel about Matt Eberflus first? Because I have my thoughts, but what would you think if Matt Eberflus? Because it was, he's not going to be the coach, or we don't know, and I think he's going to be the DC, Zach. But how would you feel about that?
Yeah, they announced that he was going to be the DC, and then they're like, oh wait, they still have to interview people and whatnot. But I like Matt Eberflus.
Yeah.
A lot of people think about him in Chicago as a head coach. It's much different. Head coach, defensive coordinator. But when he was in Indianapolis, he had good defenses. They ranked
great ones.
I found a stat earlier, like 5 out of his 6 defenses as head coach or defensive coordinator, like they've been top 10 in turnovers. He had a top 3 scoring defense with Indianapolis at one point. But I think a lot of people think about the head coach, what happened, how he got kicked out of Chicago, all of that. But as a defensive coordinator, I like the hire.
I think that what you're going to get from Matt Eberflus is good linebacker play, which linebacker play wasn't bad last year. I just think that, you'll get good backer play. I think that you'll get a lot of cover too. Safeties are going to have to be sharp. Corners are going to have to be sharp. You're really going to get a scheme not too far off from Zimmer's scheme. Yep. Now, as we deep dive into Flus, we'll kind of get more information, but you're going to get a scheme similar to Zimmer's scheme. So what's going on, chat? Thank you guys for rocking with us. You guys are going to get a ton of content tomorrow. You guys, this will probably be the last video for the night. For myself, I think Zach might be uploading something else, but you guys are going to get a ton of content tomorrow. One-on-ones, film, all that type of stuff, because that's the world that we're living in right now, is the draft world. So it's obviously for Cowboys fans, but even if you're not a fan of the Cowboys, if you're just a fan of football, you guys are going to get that content. And as people kind of roll in here, because I know other people might be live or everybody's giving their thoughts about Brian Schottenheimer, we are turning the page to the Senior Bowl. So, Zach, I wanted to talk about a list of 10 players that fans should be watching, whether you watching highlights, whether you have access to film, whatever you have. Like, let me just say this too. Whatever you think about a player, you guys can have those thoughts. Don't let people sway you. Don't let people, because, me and Zach were sitting here watching Damian Martinez, and it's like, man, I like him. But at the end of the day, if Zach likes him, I'm going to try to figure out why Zach likes him. If I don't like him, I'm going to say, I don't like certain things. Like, we're watching him, and I'm like, I don't see the breakaway, but I see the physicalness. And that's what you guys got to do. Don't let people think for you. Don't go off of, Mel Kiper or Todd. I love both of those guys. They're godfathers. Do I agree with them? No. I'll give you an example. I don't have Shedeur Sanders in my top 50, but everybody loves Shedeur, and they have that right. Last year, I wasn't as high on Caleb Williams as everybody else. He goes to a bad situation. He didn't play on time as much as he should have. And at the end of the day, he looked kind of how he looked. Now, they get a new coach in there so they could clean things up. But my point is, feel how you feel. So with that being said, Zach, I know you know how we get past the draft.
Yeah.
But with that being said, let's get into 10 names for the Senior Bowl watch list. And I'll start, Zach, Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon weighed in at, what was it? What did he weigh in at, Zach? Was it 233?
233, yep.
How do you feel about that, first of all?
So I know the discussion was the drop off from 2023 to 2024, and a lot of people tie that into the size that he played at, like what his playing weight. And in 2023, looked a lot more explosive, a lot better agility. 2024 obviously was a step back in that. So he was probably playing at a higher weight at 220, 225. For him to be at 233 is huge. Yeah. I thought they did an unofficial weight thing, like with the eye test before they gave the verified numbers out. And somebody said 211, which we were excited about when we saw that. But 233, I worry about what he looks like. So it's going to be interesting tomorrow to see him out there with other top prospects playing at 233. Yeah,
Zach nailed it, guys. I mean, if you guys are new to Zach, DoubleMove, he's the GOAT. And we actually have a draft. We have a draft guide coming out. We've been doing a lot of work. Thank you so much for the super chat, April Showers. She's been with us since day one. And she says, Zach, you guys are the reason that I'm still a Cowboys fan. Thank you. Because April likes, she's very detail oriented. She wants to know the details of everything. What's going on, Sadiqa? She's been with us since day one. And that's what we're here for. Like, you guys know me. It's not gossip with me. It's going to be more like, at the end of the day, we're trying to get down to the nitty gritty of not only for our team, for everybody's team. Like, if you are a fan of the draft, you want to know about these players. Ollie Gordon. Let's talk about Ollie Gordon. Zach hit it on the head. He has that, like, players bounce off of him when he's running a certain, like, in 2023, he was my running back too, right behind Ashton Genty. That's another reason why I'm so high on Ashton Genty, because he was able to repeat after being the hunted. That just goes to show you a little bit about his work ethic. With me, Ollie Gordon kind of picked up weight. He didn't look as quick on his feet, didn't catch the ball the same, had drops. And obviously, Oklahoma State wasn't as good. Like, that's just the truth. Oklahoma State was not as good. So it'll be interesting to see. But Ollie Gordon is a name for me that I at least want us to watch, because if he has a good Senior Bowl, if he runs around well, he could be a steal, get into a program, they get him on a weight situation, and he'd be a back that kind of can return to form in 2023. Give us a name, Zach.
So our second guy is maybe the Cowboys don't need a tight end. Got Jake Ferguson. They spent a second-round pick on Luke Schoonmaker, but somebody that I wanted to watch tomorrow was Harold Fannin Jr.
Oh, love his game.
The production last year was out of this world. I'm sure he broke some kind of tight end record last year. He had over 105 catches. Harold Fannin is a smaller tight end. He's probably not going to offer much blocking. He's like 230, 233 as well, 230 around that range. But Harold Fannin Jr., just the production, the receiving ability, how good he is after the catch is unbelievable. So that's somebody that I'm really interested to watch tomorrow to see how he looks against in the Senior Bowl. So I'm excited about him too.
Yeah, when we get to and just to do, that's my guy as well. When Gunnar Helm is a great player. The difference with Harold Fannin Jr. is he's an elite mover.
Yes.
And at his size, it'll be fun to see how he plays in space. Like, I'm not gonna lie, if he can kind of do some of those things and play in line, meaning give you something as a blocker.
That's what I'm going to be looking for.
Yeah.
If he can show some upside as a blocker being that size, I think that's what helps his draft stock, because some teams might move away from the tight end that you can't play in line. We saw Harold Fannin play at running back in the slot. We saw him in line as a blocker. But if he can block, he's going to make himself a lot more money.
And I think that for me, if he can go out there, he's going to catch the ball well. He's going to move well in space. When he's playing against one of those ends, and they ask him, kick, go to the next level, do those types of things. Can he do it, and can he do it consistently? All right, here's a name that I'm going to go with. It's Deon Walker, Kentucky. Zach, can we pull up his measurements? It was crazy. I want to make sure that I get this right. He is a massive human being. And one of the issues that I had with Walker was, is he literally too big? Like, he's 6'5". Yeah, so he was confirmed as, and this is at the Senior Bowl, guys. This Kentucky defensive tackle, 6'7", 340, 34 and 5/8 inch arms. He's a center.
Yes.
In the NBA.
Yes.
Now, tape is this. Tape is really good at times. And at times is he tired? It's very Jordan Davis-esque. Yes. You watched Jordan Davis yesterday. He had a few reps where he literally just walked the center back into Jaden Daniels' lap. Is there a world where in the third, second round, because this D tackle class is loaded? I mean, you could just pick a D tackle and they're drafted. You could find a way from it. Is there a world though in this third or second round where you say this guy's size, his stature, even for what we want to do, is too good to pass on? So that's one of my names, Deon Walker.
Yeah, certainly. Just 6'7", 340, you have to worry about the cardio to some extent. Like, how long can he be on the field? How many plays can he play in a game? I mean,
no, for real.
Yeah, that's like Shaquille O'Neal taking snaps at defensive tackle. Like, it is crazy. And I think something that goes along with the cardio is the pad level. Some of the technique starts faltering with Deon Walker, but just physically being able to hold up against the run. You want a space eater. You want somebody that eats up blocks. Deon Walker is that guy, and I'm really interested to see him. A name that I had, and I had texted you about, that we're going to watch tomorrow, is Jaden Higgins.
That's our guy.
Iowa State wide receiver. The measurements, I'll have to pull those up, but he is impressive. I think he was 6'3", but Jaden Higgins is somebody that I'm excited to see tomorrow. What about you?
No, Jaden Higgins is between him and another name I'm sure we'll get to. I don't want to spoil the lead. These are two physical X-type receivers who play on the edge that if they have a big day tomorrow, they don't have to separate amazingly, but they do need to catch everything, and they need to separate some. I got to tell you guys, Jaden Higgins is good. You got his measurables. So these are you can read them, Zach. What he came in at
6'3.5" and 217.
He's a tank.
Big dude.
As an X receiver, he's a unit,
and he can move.
And I saw more pop with his footwork than another name, but this name had a big game against a certain corner. So, and I think sometimes players have a game that gets them drafted, and I say that because I'll never forget, and can have them fall. Like, I'll never forget this. When I was watching Osiris Torrance, and he played against Jalen Carter, and Jalen Carter gave him issues. I still thought that Osiris Torrance was a really good guard. I still thought that he was a unit, a fridge, and can move people. Just had certain issues hand placement wise, but Jalen Carter beat him. Well, guess what? Jalen Carter is beating everybody in the NFL, but that doesn't mean that Osiris Torrance isn't a great player. I've also seen it go the other way where guys have like one good game. I forget the Penn State corner who had like one good game against Marvin Harrison Jr. He ended up having a terrible draft off season, which as far as like he went to the Senior Bowl, he couldn't guard anybody. He ran an awful 40, and I don't even think he got drafted. The point is, when it comes to these players, you got to look at the whole body of work. And I just think that with Jaden Higgins, he's consistent. Quarterback play wasn't great. He consistently separated. He consistently did things on film that you like. So I'm with you on Jaden Higgins. Is it on me? Let's go. So my next, I'm gonna kind of steal one of yours, bro.
Yeah.
No, you know what? No. I got this guy. So I'll let you, because I know you want to talk about a certain receiver, and I want to go Devin Neal from Kansas. So Devin Neal is, first of all, I want to see how big he is. And he came in, they measured him, I think, at 5'9". Yeah. Which was, I wanted him to be 5'10", but 5'9" is, for his game, is good enough. But I would like him to be, the problem with Neal is he's not going to be fast, but everything else is exceptional. Really quick feet, great hands. He's underrated as a hands guy. He has underrated hands. He has really quick feet, catches everything, and he runs behind his pads. He can also make you miss. If you go back to the Colorado game, he beat Colorado by himself. It just couldn't get him on the ground. But the size, the height mixed with, he's just not fast, so he's not going to run away from a defense consistently. And he could be a better creator, but I like Devin Neal. That's my name. That's my third name. How do you feel about Neal?
Yeah, I like Devin Neal. A 4-year guy at Kansas. He had almost 4,000 yards, 5.7 yards an attempt. Like you said, not the best creator. I saw a lot of stick your foot in the ground. He can make one move, make a guy miss, and then go. Not really much of a home run threat, and that's going to keep him out of that top echelon that we've talked about, like Omarion Hampton, Caleb Johnson, Ashton Genty, of course. But the vision, the patience, he can do anything. He can do most things that are asked of him on any given run play, or when catching the ball out of the backfield. I'm going to be interested to see how he looks tomorrow as well. So, it's my turn now.
Yeah, it's
let me segue this into talking about a guy that measured in smaller than we expected in Tez Johnson, from Oregon. And this guy was 5'9.5" or 5'10", 160 pounds. Does that scare you? As are scouts going to look at that and say, this guy just cannot play at the NFL level? You're playing with guys. We just talked about Deion Walker. At 370 pounds. Can a guy that is 5'9.5", and I know the route running is great, the explosiveness is great because it has to be at 5'9", 160. What do you think about Tez Johnson? And can he do anything tomorrow at the Senior Bowl to kind of change your mind?
All right, chat. Y'all tap in with Tez Johnson, because I have thoughts. So here's my deal. If he goes out, he needs to have a Tank Dell type performance. Where it's just insane, the amount of separation that he has. If he does not, and especially because like Oregon receivers, I gotta, because Denver just drafted, I forget his name, but he just didn't have a good year last year. Troy Franklin, yeah, and he didn't have a good year. He did have the touchdown, but he struggled with drops. The point is this: a smaller receiver, not even smaller, tiny receiver. You guys tell me. I think that if Tez Johnson can go out there and now the interesting thing about Tez Johnson, I'll say this, it's a lot like Devonta Smith. They play bigger than their size. And he does do that. He's physical. He actually has some sneaky run after the catch. It's just, will an OC be creative enough to get him the ball? I don't think that he's a slot only. I think Houston uses they use what's the name on the edge as well. The Tank Dell. They use Tank Dell on the edge. So I actually don't like when these smaller guys just get pegged as slot onlys. But that being said, the separation better be real. The play strength better be real, because when you have these big corners playing through your body and coming downhill, can you make a catch? And can you make a catch and then make a play? And so that's gonna be what we need to find out, Zach.
And I think with Tez Johnson, the release, like we saw from Tank Dell when he was at the Senior Bowl, the releases were just too much, so much separation. But like you said, he's not a slot only guy. But I know that frame, somebody's going to look at Jaden Higgins and say, that's an NFL wide receiver.
Yeah.
Somebody's going to look at, you're going to expect more out of a guy like Tez Johnson.
Yeah. Oh, so it's on you, Zach. But before Zach goes, this video is brought to you guys by BetUS. BetUS has all your betting needs. As you guys see on the screen, get 150 bonus with your first deposit, 125% bonus with your second and third deposit. BetUS. Now, we don't have no super producers right now. This is me and Zach doing this. I actually have to step away from the screen for 2 seconds because I got to go get my charger because me and Zach are talking and I don't want this to die. This is a great segment. So, Zach, I'm going to talk. You have the next athlete because we just went Tez Johnson. Let me go get my charger. And by the time Zach is midpoint, I'll be able to jump back in. So give me a quick second.
All right, I'm taking over production.
Yes, sir.
All right, let's talk about Jalen Royals. You guys know that I'm going to talk about the wide receivers. Any chance that I get, we're talking wide receivers. So with Jalen Royals, I think he weighed in. He was about 5'11", 210, which when you watch him on film, he doesn't look like a 6-foot guy. He is really good after the catch. He's a little bit stockier, can make guys miss. But somebody that has inside-outside flexibility. You can line him up in the slot. You can play him on the outside. Utah State didn't have great quarterback play. So the idea with Royals was get him the ball quick, get him out in space, let him do some stuff after the catch. But he's not this level of player, but I get Jamar Chase vibes from Jalen Royals. It's that kind of body type, that kind of movement. He looks like an athlete. He moves extremely well. He does a good job catching the ball outside the framework of his body. The thing with Jalen Royals is the level of competition. He played at Utah State. What does he look like against other NFL level prospects? I think that's where we have to figure it out with Jalen Royals. You got it. So we were just talking about Jalen Royals. Yep. Nice. And just the level of competition and how well he moves and kind of looks like a Jamar Chase type player. That's the body type and the vibe that I get.
What did he weigh in?
I was looking at that.
He didn't get to 6 feet. It's like 5'11".
Yeah, he was like 5'11". Yeah.
So this is going to be interesting with Royals because I think that's that Matt Golden, Antonio Brown, like not small but not big but hard to guard.
Yes.
And that's when you watch Royals
5'11",
film,
210.
So but that 210 is sign me up.
Yes.
Like he's 210, sign me up. And so with that, man, this is going to be, when I want to see him go against some of these corners, Ezra Thomas is going to be the one, Y.A. Thomas's brother.
Yes.
I want to, can we just get them matched up? Because I know it'll be feisty. He wants to play press. He wants to get physical. This guy is physical. He's hard to tackle. He could help himself tomorrow morning at the Senior Bowl because I think that he looks the part. I don't care that he's 5'11" because 5'11", 6 feet. He's going to get open. The biggest thing with him is he a bona fide yak guy or does he have the route running chops?
Yeah. I was talking about that. Like Utah State, obviously the quarterback play wasn't great, so they did a lot of things, getting on tunnel screens, get him the ball, and let him do some things after the catch. Yeah. I did see flashes of a route runner, a guy that had a little bit of nuance to his route running. My thing is just how well he moves. He's not easily tackled. He can sidestep guys. Mm-hmm. Even when he's being tackled, he'll somehow drag everybody out of bounds and he's still standing up.
Yeah.
So I'm excited. We're talking about wide receivers a lot too, because these one-on-ones are what people want to see. You start watching these one-on-ones from the Senior Bowl between the corners and the wide receivers. That's like the Senior Bowl's bread and butter.
Yeah. That's where their money's going to be made, and we're going to have it for you guys. All right. Hey, what's up, DMV? Shout out to you. Me and DMV talk all the time about like prospects and how to get it right and all these types of things. So now I want to shift over to, you know what? Before I do that, one more point about Royals that I want to see is sometimes small school guys, it's like with Quinyon Mitchell. Either they were a gym or the lights are just too bright.
Yep.
And I want to see if which is it the latter, which one is it with Royals? Because you get around some guys and it's different.
Yes.
You get what I'm saying? You get around some guys.
Real quick. With Quinyon Mitchell, people had questions at Toledo because they played a lot of off coverage, and then teams that they played were running hitch routes. So he was just coming up, making a tackle, got out to the Senior Bowl, clamped everybody up, and was a first round pick.
He's clamped Terry McLaurin yesterday. He had a good game. I mean, so the rest is history. I'm going to actually say this too, to your point about how he was used in quarterback play. I never forget this. Everybody last year was Malachi Corley. And I remember I was talking to Matt Owens about this, and it was, man, I don't know. And the reason why I didn't know about Corley is because I didn't see the downfield separation, and I only saw hitches and comebacks and screens on his film.
Yep.
So he does break a lot of tackles, but I just got to tell you, that's not going to be everybody's calling card. So while you're being comped to, while folks will be comped to Deebo Samuels, everybody ain't Deebo, dog.
No, there's one. There's one. There's been one, and people have been comping that for 5 years now. There's one Deebo Samuel, and we've yet to see any of those comps pan out to that player.
I mean, bro, I'll tell you too. Like, it's Dez every year. Justin Blackmon is Dez.
Yes.
Or, you have all of these. I mean, everybody. That's what kills me about the Ash. We're not going to turn this to an Ashton Jeanty conversation, but it's so funny when people say, oh, Ashton Jeanty isn't Saquon Barkley. No, he's Ashton Jeanty. But the point is, you're getting a explosive runner who's hard to bring down. He's low to the ground. He's fast. I don't think, Ashton Jeanty had 500 yards receiving last year. People will say, oh, he doesn't catch the ball. Yes, he does. He catches the ball well.
Yep.
He just wasn't asked to do it and didn't do it this year. So, yeah, with Royals, I'm really going to have my eyes on him. I have him written down. All right, let's talk about Eric Ailmanor, because that's the one, and that's my fifth prospect. We got to 10. Thank you guys for rocking with us. Let's talk about Eric Ailmanor, because I think that, how can I say this? I think that he's living off of the Colorado game where, he had the highlight plays. If you guys haven't watched them, he had the highlight plays versus Travis Hunter, and it's like, because he beat Travis Hunter, and this wasn't even last year, this was the year before last, he's automatically a guy. And I like Eric Ailmanor. I mean, when I first saw his film, I was tweeting about it. I said, man, I like this guy. But then there are times where I don't see good route running, and that could be Stanford's offense. That could be. And so when we come down here, the goal is to evaluate and to investigate, like, because I'll tell you, he could have a big week. And he is, what is he, 6? What did he come in at, 6'2"? I think Ailmanor came in at 6'2" today. He was listed at 6'2", I want to say 215. So same, like him and Jaden Higgins are like, I want to say they're carbon copies. But now what you need to see is, well, how good is he really? And can he compete on this level? Because I tell you, with tall corners, with tall receivers that aren't fast, because I don't know just how fast he is, and they're just yak guys. Sometimes those guys get lost in schemes that don't know how to use him. Sadiqa says, and she asks, Foots, are there any fast receivers? Are there any receivers over 6 feet with speed? Yeah, and they probably won't be at the Senior Bowl. I mean, Ted's going to be a 4. He's going to be like a 4 or 5 guy, but I mean, Ted is a true 6'4", 6'5", and he's just a stud. What did Ailmanor come in at?
I couldn't find it on the Senior Bowl.
Okay, yeah, I want to say he's somewhere out there, but he's the point with Ailmanor is, how does he separate? Can he separate? You won't be able to see the yak ability. He does have some of that. Again, in that game that he played against Colorado, he had an amazing game. But if he can separate Zach, I think that he'll fly boards. He was pegged as a first rounder at times.
Yep.
I think the guys like Matthew Golden have kind of jumped him. I think that maybe a few of these other receivers, if they have a good week, will jump him. But that's my last name.
a guy that I saw when I watched A.O. Manor on film was like a steady, like you said, he didn't have good quarterback play. He was having to, he made quite a few catches outside the framework of his body, but I wouldn't call him a route technician. I don't think he's a route running stud or anything, but I saw a guy with quick feet, is pretty refined in that area. I didn't even realize that he was 6'4" or 6'3".
Yeah.
Like I didn't realize he didn't look that big, but there's a lot of questions about him because that Colorado game was so big against Travis Hunter. He had that insane second half. I think he finished with like 220 something yards.
Yeah.
But he started to slide a little bit, at least from the perspective of media scouts. Like there are guys jumping in. Matthew Golden's coming to the frame.
Yeah.
So this is his chance to go out there and make himself a little bit of money tomorrow.
Yeah.
So to finish this video off, let's talk about a guy that we both really like a lot. And when I think of RJ Harvey,
yes,
the running back from UCF, I think of somebody that you could pair with a running back that you maybe take earlier if he were to fall a little bit. You know, if he could get to round 5, if you take a back in round 1 or 2, RJ Harvey is small.
Yes.
5'8" and a half.
5'8", 5'7" area.
Yep.
5'8", yeah.
He's small, but he's fast.
And a great creator.
Yes. He can create big plays. He's explosive. Like we said, when you're smaller like that, you gotta be able to make plays, create plays. What do you think about RJ Harvey, and what are you looking at from him tomorrow?
Harvey is exactly what you said. Low to the ground, built well. He did measure in. He was small. His film is good. His film is good. I want to see his contact balance be a little bit better. And everybody's going to be searching this year for this year's Bucky Irving. Like, who's the guy that, and I think there's a couple prospects like that, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be Bucky Irving. Could it be a Ray Davis? Ray Davis had a decent year for the Bills as a rookie. Could it be, you know what I mean? So you don't have to, in that way. But this class, guys, I mean, there's 30 plus running backs in this class.
This is such a deep running back.
It's such a deep class. And I say that to say there's still a top guy. There is. But depending on scheme and depending on how you feel you develop the position, a guy like Harvey could come in and be your 2, could be your 3rd round back. It's all about what you've outlined for your team.
Yes.
Like, what do you want your team to be? I'm going to tell you, Cam Scatterbo, we haven't, I'm looking at our list. He wasn't on this list, but even Scatterbo, I think people will say, oh, white running back, he's Mike Allstott. He has more to his game than that. Like Cam Scatterbo, whatever. I
don't even know how to say it. No.
Scattergoat, because he had a hell of a run. He actually is twitchy. He actually has wiggle, and he will run through your face. Brashard Smith, I see a comment. Yes, Brashard Smith actually has some of that Bucky Irving catchability, wiry guy. I just think that in a draft like this, you have to have a plan for what you want to be as a team. Yes. Let's tie this into Brian Schottenheimer. Let's tie this into Shotty. Okay. Shotty, what I know about Brian Schottenheimer, he wants to get downhill. There's a certain type of run that he's going to install. Back to the basket runs. Back to the basket. You handing that ball off. All right. Not these type of handoffs where you're going to hand it. We can show y'all. Shoot, we doing the production. It's here. Boom. He hand that ball off, and that running back is coming downhill. Okay. What type of running back is that? What type of running back is that? That is going to be a Martinez. That is going to be a Cam Scatterbo. That is going to be an Ashton Jeanty because he can do it all. Yep. That's going to be an Omarion Hampton.
Caleb Johnson.
Those types. So those are those backs. That will not be a RJ Harvey. RJ Harvey can do it, but how long can he do it? In the NFL's big boy football all year. You see what I'm saying? So that's kind of how I feel and how I look at it with this running back class is flavors of ice cream, but it has to fit what you want to be and your scheme. So,
and I think that's with the running backs. There's a lot of different types of running backs. You have a RJ Harvey, and you mentioned Damian Martinez, who was 241.
Yeah.
And then with the wide receivers, I saw somebody ask earlier, are there any wide receivers over 6 foot? There are. And when they are, you have guys like Tez Johnson and Jaden Higgins. Like there's a lot of different types of wide receivers in this class too. And I think the skill positions are super interesting because of that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And guys, we just want to do this video for you all just so we can have an overview and kind of thoughts of what this Senior Bowl looks like in these athletes. So if you guys have any athletes that you want us to cover, leave them in the comments. If you guys watched this on the rerun, thank you guys so much, man. We love you all. April, thank you so much for the super chat. I'll show it again because April, guess what? You've been rocking with us from day one, and I appreciate that. I'll never be too big or too to show love to my people. My people will always be my people, and you guys are my people. All right, we're gonna get some rest because we got to be up early. We love you guys. Peace.